If you're dropping or throwing sticks unintentionally, like once every practice session or gig, whether it be from grip issues or from stick clash, like sticks running into each other while you're playing, then today's lesson is for you. If you're tired of feeling like a clumsy amateur or a fraud who has no good technique, then you're in the right place. Let's fix this. A great solution for eliminating stick droppage, as we might call it, is to get your hands stickier or to use like grippier sticks that have a coating on them. And those really are great tips and good things. We're going to talk some more about that. But the truth is there are two bigger actions that you must take beyond the grip tactics to once and for all solve the whole stick dropping, stick throwing problem here. Believe me, I've been there. I used to drop and throw so many sticks while playing that I had a special stick bag attached to my snare so that I had sticks right here I could grab at a moment's notice. That was my safety net. But hey, I can honestly tell you that after implementing what I'm teaching you today, I have not dropped a stick in years. You can do the same. Today I'm giving you 4 quick tips for getting on the right track with this. We'll breeze through those real quick. Then we're going deeper into the 2 most likely reasons why you're actually throwing and dropping sticks, and we'll solve this together. You can do this. Hey, welcome to the Non-Glamorous Drummer. I'm so glad you're hanging out today. I help self-taught beginner drummers know what to practice so that you can nail songs, have a blast on the drums, and be the drummer other people want in their band. And hey, if you're a beginner drummer, I have a special free gift for you in the description below. If you're constrained to pad practice, if you're having to practice quietly, or you're practicing on the go, or maybe you don't have a full kit yet, and so you're spending a lot of time on a pad, the big problem, the big issue that you can run into is there are some dangers with only practicing on a pad, and it's that what you practice there might not translate to the full kit. That's something I've heard from so many students. You get on the full kit, and suddenly you feel like you're flailing and nothing is working, even though you felt good and felt like you sounded great on the pad. Well, that's because you've got to practice the right things as a drum set player on your practice pad. I lived in an apartment for 2.5 years and had to do a lot of pad practice even as a professional gigging drummer. And so I was able to figure out and boil down really 3 main core exercises you can do on your pad every day that actually help you as a drum set player. So I want you to grab my free PDF guide below that breaks all those down. 3 daily exercises for fast, fluid hands. It's all in this 30-minute daily practice routine. So if you're playing on a pad and you don't have a lot of time and you're not able to get on the full kit all the time, this guide's gonna help you out. Be sure to download it, my free gift to you. Let's dive into today's lesson. So 4 quick tips for hanging on to your sticks. I told you we'd move through these quickly. Number 1, grip more firmly with a middle finger fulcrum. So if you're gripping with an index finger fulcrum, like out here, you're gonna end up feeling like you're flailing. This kind of grip works on the practice pad sometimes, but it doesn't work so well on low rebound surfaces. If you want a more versatile grip that works well on a floor tom and not just on a practice pad, adjust to a middle finger fulcrum up here closer to your palm. Allow the index to be a sort of a guardrail along the stick like this, and then keep your other fingers gently wrapped around. That'll give you a whole bunch of control that will allow you to not flail and actually feel like you've got some control over your sticks and they're not gonna slide as much because you've got more friction, more skin contact on the stick too. Number 2, wrap your fingers around not tightly, but more securely. I kind of already said that, so we'll just reiterate that it's important to make sure that your pinky and your ring finger are touching the stick and not sticking out. Because what I've seen a lot of students do is this, and this causes you to clamp too tight up here and then to flail, where you start getting into this territory. But by keeping these fingers gently wrapped around down here, it actually allows you to be looser up here at the fulcrum without as much pressure, which makes things easier on your finger and your thumb, and again, gives you more control. Number 3, get your hands stickier or clammier when playing and before playing. That means it might be as simple as lotion. I came down here, it's morning, it's a little bit cold and dry down here, so I put some lotion on my hands, immediately felt better, felt stickier. Also, you can use grippier sticks. These are the Vic Firth Vic Grip. I know every main stick maker has a version of these. You can make your own, you could dip them in your own stuff, wrap them in your own tape, whatever you want to do. But that can be a huge help because you can feel a lot more confident and in control when you know your sticks aren't slipping. Because we definitely want to avoid stick slippage, because slippage will lead to throwing and dropping inevitably, and hand fatigue as well. Tip number 4, warm up physically before playing and do some stretches. This is something that can really help a lot. Like just as you're going, stretching your forearms like this, bending your hand back, bending it this way, stretching each finger individually, especially your thumbs, like moving your thumbs around like this, pulling each finger back and then kind of just loosening up like this. That can help a lot because if you're getting stiff or developing tension, sometimes that can mess with your head where you start feeling like you need to be tighter and then you end up developing the fatigue because you're too tight. And so just staying loose and physically relaxed can really help a lot and help your mental game too because you'll feel more relaxed as you're playing, which is great. And so that's an important thing too. So hopefully those 4 quick tips help you out. If you're a total beginner, I'm sure they will because I know those were things that it's not like anybody taught those to me when I started out. I kind of had to figure it out. But let's go a little deeper with this into the meat of today's lesson because if you've been playing for any amount of time and dealt with all of the struggles we've talked about, then you're probably like, Steven, I'm already doing those 4 things and I'm still struggling here. So the 2 likely deeper reasons why you're dropping sticks. Number 1, you're not actually practicing moving around the drum set. And number 2, you're not being intentional with what you play. So I'll explain what I mean by these. These were the 2 things I was most guilty of, even after playing for years. I'd taken lessons, I'd worked on my hand technique and everything, and I was working on, improving my fulcrum and putting on lotion, all those things. I was doing all those things, but I wasn't actually practicing moving around the drum set in a clean, smooth way. And I wasn't being intentional with what I played. In other words, I wasn't thinking through what I was playing, and so my sticks would end up getting tangled up. So let's get into how to avoid these. Big action number 1, practice specifically moving around the drum set. This is one of those things that it's so easy to never practice, but yet it's absolutely critical. What I want you to do is practice playing slow alternating singles around the drum set daily. This is not tricky at all. Like just sit here and go. Just like that. Play around the kit. If you've got another tom, then just do 4 notes on each drum. Bum, 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 boom, 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 boom. And what you can do is either stop early at the end or insert a kick note so that you can come back to the snare. You could go. Like that, so you can just keep going over and over again, nice and slow. Basically, the way the exercise works is set your metronome to 60 beats a minute, really slow. I'll set mine to that just so you can hear what that sounds like. We set to 60 beats a minute here. It's very slow. Here's our quarter note. You don't have to play on the hi-hat as you're doing it. This is just for you to hear. And really, there's a lot of different benefits here, a lot of benefits that happen when you start doing this. And one is that you're paying attention to how you're moving, you're paying attention to how you're gripping, for one thing, and you're paying attention to how you're moving around the drum set, and you're making sure that you're moving in arcing motions. You're also listening to yourself. You're thinking about, am I playing in time? How are my dynamics? Because we want to play with even time, with even dynamics. So there's all these layers of things that go into doing this well. And if you need to, you can simplify to just 8th notes and practice going. This was something that we talked about a little bit last week, where we were talking about consistent practice and what to practice, what to do each day. And this is one of those things to do every day. And so remember, we're focusing on creating this up and down motion with our playing so that even on a floor tom, we're using some forearm to keep the stick moving instead of it just going. Because then we end up in flail territory. If we're not lifting and pulling the sound out, so to speak, we end up in that flail territory where we're out of control and then our sticks are clashing, things are going wrong, and we're dropping sticks. But if we keep our grip under control, like I showed you a few minutes ago with that middle finger fulcrum, and use a little bit of forearm to just make the tip of the stick look like a kid jumping on a trampoline in slow motion, then suddenly you're able to move in these smooth arc motions. And so then repeat with left hand 8th notes. The question is always, how do we make it effortless? How do we make this as easy as possible? And that's how. You don't have to hit hard. Just think in terms of motion here. Motion is so important. So we're trying to pull the sound out. Now, of course, you can gradually go faster with this. You can work your way up in tempo. You can get up to 100. You could go. And also, these can become fills. Like this is going to help you with fills. If you get really good at this, really smooth at this, then this whole thing could become a fill. Or maybe something shorter. Either way, so many rock fills that we play, I'd be willing to say 95% plus of rock fills we play are just alternating singles. And so much of the timekeeping we play are just right-hand singles. So if you can get really good at your right-hand singles and really good at your alternating singles, and get really smooth with those things, then everything you play will start to feel more effortless. Now, big action number 2, be intentional with what you play. So that was the second mistake, right? The first mistake was you're not actually practicing moving around the kit and getting good sounds out of your drums. The second thing is you're not being intentional with what you play. One thing I'll add to that first point is something else we're focusing on is where we're hitting the drums. We're making sure we're hitting close to the center because there's really 3 things, side note that I didn't put in my outline here, there's really 3 things that constitute like great feel in drumming. And one, I think most important, is dynamics. Also really important is time. But the third thing, all of these things are important. Third thing is quality of sound. If you're getting a terrible sound, then it won't matter how good your dynamics or your time are. It still might not feel right. Just like how if you were playing super low-tuned drums to a jazz song, you could play really well, but it's not going to feel right because low-tuned thunderous drums aren't really the jazz thing. On the flip side, if you're a church drummer and you're playing a lot of these big epic worship songs, but your drums are tuned super high, things aren't going to feel right either. Also, if you're not hitting in the center of the drums and you're not getting good quality sounds, you're not going to sound good. So if you can be precise in how you hit stuff, which is exactly what this exercise focuses you in doing, and you're playing with good time, your dynamics are smooth, then you're going to be achieving a great feel. And that's a huge part of being a good sounding drummer. And that's not to mention you're developing so much control and precision in doing this that sticks are no longer clashing and you're not throwing or dropping anything, which is huge. So, okay, back into big action number 2 here of be intentional with what you play. This means don't launch into a fast fill that you haven't practiced before. I remember as a beginner being guilty of like, going into something fast and just being like, all right, I'm gonna play fast. Okay, where am I? And then just trying to hit the downbeat. I think we've all been there where a fill kind of crashes and burns in the middle of it, and so we just have to save the band and at least, hit a downbeat. But what if you could avoid that? Because odds are doing that kind of thing, my sticks are gonna clash, I'm gonna hit a microphone, I'm gonna throw something, drop something, or I'm gonna hit my hand. That's the worst thing ever when you hit your hand with a stick. I've definitely done that before. So what if we plan out what we're going to play? What if we say, okay, we've got this big fast fill coming up, but let's get intentional about how we're going to stick it. Or not even so much stick it, how are we going to orchestrate it? Because we know we're going to use alternating singles. How are we going to orchestrate it? So let's say the fill is this right here. So that was a pretty fast fill around the kit, basically a 30-second note fill. But that's a specific fill I've played many times, and it's so comfortable to me because I know exactly how I'm going to orchestrate it. That's something you've got to plan out. So that example was 1 E and 2 E and 3. It starts on the E of 3, 3 E and half measure 30-second fill that goes. Boom, ka 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 ka, dun dun ka ka, dun dun ka dun 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 boom. As I was just sticking that, I just hit my hand like as I was air drumming it. That's the thing we want to avoid doing when we're actually hitting the drums because that will hurt if you hit your hand. So that's why we stick it out slowly. And something else you can look at, like visually look at where you're going, look at the path of your sticks as you're playing, especially with the rack tom, and see like, okay, are my sticks hitting the middle of the drum? And something really great to practice is to sit here and go, just making sure you're hitting the middle of the drums. Just going back and forth, and whatever that fill is, all right, here's how I'm going to play it. and so on. Practice those different things so you've got some different options and be intentional about how you're going to play them. Now, a specific little exercise that can actually help you out a lot with this, it's really simple, but it's kind of mind-bending, but it's sort of what I call the orchestration paradiddles. Play orchestration paradiddles with singles. So we're using alternating singles. Our sticking is right, left, right, left, right, left. But we're creating paradiddles between the rack tom and the snare by doing this. Does that make sense? So we're playing singles sticking-wise, but we're playing paradiddles orchestration-wise, because what we're hearing, if you were to close your eyes, and what I just played is also this. I played it with a paradiddle sticking as well that time so that I wasn't having to move the hands. But the goal here of the exercise is to have to move your hands. You could even move a right hand down to the floor tom and you could go. So the snare is essentially the left hand part and the toms are the right hand part, but we're playing alternating singles the whole time. I hope that's clear. I'm going to play it again for you. Don't do what I did there, which was I suddenly decided, oh, I'm going to switch to up here. What we don't want is those jagged motions. We always want to think ahead on what we're playing so that we're moving smoothly back and forth. But what that does is it's kind of mind-bending because it's like, wait, okay, where am I going here? And it helps you get better at moving around the drum set in weird ways, even while you're just playing alternating singles, because that's what a lot of the more complex sounding rock fills are. Like if you're a Blink-182 fan and you've tried to dissect any of Travis Barker's fills, a lot of the stuff he'll play, and I'm not a huge Travis Barker fan, and I can't play a whole bunch of his fills, and I'm not going to try to dissect any of them for you. But I do remember spending some time a few years ago putting one of them in Ableton and slowing it down and like figuring it out. And a lot of what he was doing, it was just singles, and he was just moving around the kit in weird ways. Like it was just something like that, but really, really fast. And so it's so fast you can't really tell what it is, and it sounds like this crazy lightning fast blur of notes. But it's really not complicated. It's really simple. It's just a matter of where your hands are moving. So if you can train your hands to move to different places, that's how you do this, and you get to where you're very confident moving around so your sticks aren't clashing and you're not losing sticks. This is not rocket science. You can sit here and practice. Probably less practical to do a crossover, but it might be fun. Just practice anything. Move around the kit. Just practice playing slow alternating singles, getting good sounds, hitting the center of the drum, so even dynamics, your volumes are smooth, time is smooth, and quality of sound is consistent, and you're going to be feeling totally pro, and it's going to be great. So what's going to happen if you take action on these things? I always want to list out for you the benefits because I want you to get excited about what's going to happen if you do this stuff every day. If you take action on last week and you're practicing regularly and you take some of this stuff to the practice room, you're going to stop feeling like an amateur. You're going to have this newfound confidence because you're no longer going to be afraid of dropping sticks or throwing sticks or hitting yourself or hitting microphones. You know, all those things that just make you feel like an amateur. You're not going to have to worry about it anymore because you've got control and precision. You'll feel like a real drummer who plays musically without fear, and you'll be playing without pain or fatigue or sloppiness because your new default will be musical precision. That's what we want, right? So, question for you as you go. What other questions do you have about avoiding dropping sticks? Did I miss anything today? Is there anything I need to cover in a future lesson? What other questions do you have when it comes to this whole frustration of dropping sticks, throwing sticks, hitting things you're not supposed to, building control and precision? That's really the thing here. Also, be sure to grab the free e-guide below before you go. The 30-minute pad practice routine, 3 daily exercises for fast, fluid hands so that you can grow on the full drum set even if you're just constrained to pad practice. That guide's going to help you out a bunch. This was the stuff I practiced for 2.5 years in an apartment. What was so cool is I could play this stuff on the pad, then show up to a rehearsal on the full kit, and I felt fresh, I felt warmed up, I felt like I'd been playing the drums. That's what I want for you too, so that you're growing. So there's no excuses, you're growing no matter the scenario. Even if you're having to practice at work next to your desk, or even if you live in an apartment, you can still do this. So hey, thanks for hanging out today. This has been a lot of fun. Stay non-glamorous. I'll see you on the next lesson. As always, you can do this.